the cast, a show that goes beyond discussing waste. And now your host, Samuel Barrelly.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this LinkedIn Live of Marketing4Waste and our podcast Marketing4Waste, available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast, and also Audible of Amazon. I'm here today with my teammate Nelson Comanda to talk about the right voice on social media. Hi Nelson, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Samuel. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here to talk about the right voice and tone of social media.
It's my pleasure, Nelson. And we defined this topic because it's one of the most important one on social media. And also because social media nowadays are one of the most important tools to attract customers, to attract prospects, to talk and diffuse the brand of our clients and our listeners. For that reason, one of the points is that it's important to use the right voice, the right tone of voice to attract the right audience. And one of the most diffused problems that I'm seeing is that people approach on social media using always the same tone of voice, and not doing a differentiation between the different voice that is important to use on social media. Last year, I had a course with one of the most interesting Italian expert on voice and the color of voice on not only on social media but in life. But that's very important, and what I learned during this course is that there are different colors of voice that is important to use during a conversation, during a moment on lives, on TVs, on whatever is used to contact the prospects and to talk with the customers. And for that reason, with Nelson, we decided to talk about this important topic, also because one of the most common mistakes is to use the common tone of voice. But one of the aspects that is important to talk about is, first of all, what is the tone of voice? And for that, I would like to start with this question with Nelson. And with Nelson, what is a tone of voice, especially on social media?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I'm really excited to be here. It's really exciting. So I believe there are two aspects to the social media tonal voice. There's the voice beat, and also we have the tone. So for voice, I believe voice talks about the brand personality, what your brand stands for, and what your brand is all about. So that it tells what your voice is all about. So then for tone, I believe tone is a factor that adds flavor to your voice. These are your tone will be determined by factors such as your audience, your situation, or the channel that you're speaking through. This could be whether you're on LinkedIn or you're on Facebook. These are the things that will determine your voice, your tone. But your voice is your brand personality, what your brand is all about. So your voice can be lively, it can be professional, it can be, depending on how maybe you've portrayed your brand outside there. So that's what will determine your voice. Then your tone will add flavor to your voice. That's a simple definition to your social media tonal voice, or your social media voice and tone. Yeah.
Great, Nelson, and thanks for this explanation, because it's really important. There are from this description and this definition, there are two aspects that is important to cultivate. First of all, the voice, and secondly, the tone. And that's one of the most important point that you as a company, as a customer, as a company in waste management, you have to follow, because talking with the citizens, with the people in your area, in your community, it's important that you, first of all, you adapt your voice to your target, and after to find the right tone to cultivate the interest of this target. And I know that usually it's difficult, especially for companies in waste management, to think that citizens are clients, but that's one of the most important switch that you have to do. And using the right tone of voice, or the right voice, firstly, and secondly, the right tone, you'll be able to involve citizens in your process, because that's one of the most important aspects, because you need to attract the right target audience for your services, to sell your services, but also to talk with your target about the problems that they will live if they don't follow your regulations, your indications, your suggestions, and whatever you have to communicate. And starting from that, Nelson, which I don't know if you can help us in the definition of the tone of voice on social media, because there is something that is possible to do to create a right tone of voice through social media.
Okay, I believe there are three parts to this. So your tonal voice will be determined by your culture, maybe your culture in your business or your brand, how your culture is. Then we also have the community that you're talking to. This your audience will also determine how you'll portray your tone, or the type of tone you'll use in your social media. And the last one is the type of conversation you're having. Is it a one-way conversation? Is it a monologue? Are you talking to people who are not responding immediately? Or is it a conversation whereby, like the one we're having right now, where we are talking, we are discussing matters? So this will determine the type of tone we're using. But all in all, I believe, because initially I talked about the two parts to your social media brand voice. This is the voice and the tone. So I believe your voice, your brand's voice, is like your mission statement. Then it talks about what your brand is all about. Then your tone now is the application of that mission. So these are the things that I tend to believe will basically define and will direct your company's social media brand voice, how you'll talk about it. Because there's a lady by the name of Stephanie Schwab. I normally follow her. She's a really nice person. She's really great in terms of her social media. So she talks about a 4-part formula of determining your social media brand voice. I think we'll move to that when you ask me. You'll ask me the second question, and the third question, sorry, and I'll define the social media brand voice based on what we've studied out there and what we've tried in terms of applying the voice and the tone. Yeah.
Great. No problems. Thanks, Nelson, because that's one of the most important points. And I'm very curious now about the formula, because I'm very curious about the formula, and because we know and we see that using the right voice on social media and using the right tone, it's possible to create engagement with your target audience. Consider that there is an important point behind social media and behind the content that we produce as a marketing company for our clients, or for clients generally speaking. And the most important point is that one, people live searching searching entertainment. For that reason, we spend a lot of time scrolling our smartphones on social media, or on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, in all the platforms where we are present. And for that reason, it's important that your voice and your tone of voice offer and cultivate entertainment for the target audience. And at the same time, during entertainment, it cultivates also the interest of your target audience to your services, to your waste management offers, to your waste collection, waste segregation, or waste opportunities. And that's one of the most important points, especially if you nowadays are using Facebook or other social media only to publicate some contents like images of your truck, images of your bins, images of your process. One of the most important points is that people search content that explain how your process works, and it could be like a video, but it's important that your video will be commented by you, by your I don't know, by the frontman of the company, because this video represents you, your brand, the tone of voice, and it's your tool to attract and to communicate what you are doing for the environment, what you are doing for the people, what you are doing for the citizens, and how you are solving a problem that is the waste management problem, or the waste problem in the city, in the community, or for companies. If you work in waste management for companies, is the problem that they are living, or one of the problems that they are living. And to do that, the use of social media should represent your mission, as Nelson said, through your voice, and the tone should be the confirmation of the mission. You should use that as a confirmation, and it's one of the most important point. As Nelson said, you have to talk about you and your company, but using a point of view that is the point of view perceived from your target audience. And that's one of the most important aspects, because otherwise you are talking about yourself. And social media are interesting for that, because you can use talking about yourself, and it will be like a monologue, as Nelson said, but you don't need to create monologues. That you need to attract and to collect data from your potential clients, or your prospect, or your clients, using social media to talk about the problems of companies that are searching the solution for their waste, the problems of the citizens that are searching a solution for their waste. And to do that, you have to use the right tone of voice and the right voice. The voice, as Nelson said, is like the brand, and the tone is the confirmation, the mission of the brand. And to do that, remember that you have to use the point of view of your target audience to explain them how your brand, your solution, or your company solve this problem. I know that it's not easy, and I know that in this moment there are too much difficulties, because the web market is full of people that talks about social media management, and usually they are not offering you this kind of service. And it's something that is very important, because their services are usually limited to the creation of some contents and the creation of some small videos, so small posts about your company, but no one is analyzing, first of all, the right tone of voice that is necessary to attract the right target audience. That's the most important problem, and it's a marketing problem. For that reason, with Nelson, we decided to create a sequence of podcasts totally dedicated to the social media, because it's important to maximize the opportunities offered by these tools, and especially for companies that are in waste management, because if we watch the niche of waste management, there are a lot of interesting companies involved in that, and there are some big brands internationally that are working on that, and they use their power on social media. But at the same time, one of the limits is that a lot of smallest companies are trying to clone the experience of these big brands, but unfortunately they are cloning something that that doesn't produce results, for one reason: there is a different voice, the voice of the brand. And going ahead on that, Nelson, which I don't know, let me ask you this question, because which should be the right tone of voice on social media?
Okay, I think you've really talked a lot about social media voice and tone, which is quite insightful. So as I had said earlier, we've divided this into 4 parts, which will define or drive a company's social media brand voice. So these are 4 parts. The first part is your character or your persona. What's your brand's character or persona? As I had said earlier, this will determine your voice, what you are, whether you're playful, whether you're authoritative, whether you're professional. So depending on maybe the channel you're on, it will determine. Especially LinkedIn tends to be quite professional. So most people avoid using memes or funny things. So people want to appear as authoritative. So one of the things that will drive your voice, as I said, is your character or your persona. The second part is your tone. What is your tone? Are you personal? Are you humble? Are you honest? Are you direct? So this is a second bit that will determine your social media brand voice. The third one is the language that you're using. Are you using a simple language, simple English that anyone can relate to, or are you using the technical terms? Like maybe you'll get people in waste management will want to use technical terms and how maybe they do the processing when they're recycling, when they're segregating. But so are you fun? Are you using a language that is fun, that people can easily relate to, that is entertaining, or are you serious? So it depends. So that's the third part. The fourth part is your purpose. As companies or as brands in waste management, what is our purpose? So our purpose is to basically try to create an environment that is clean, that is friendly, that is whereby people understand what they need to do with waste, turning waste from treating waste as waste, but treating waste as something that is that can be converted into something that is useful. So once you've defined your purpose, it's easier to now bring all these factors together. You bring your character, you bring your tone, you bring your language, and you bring your purpose and turn it into your social media brand voice. So those are the things that will guide your brand, your voice on social media. The 4 parts. Once you're able to put these 4 parts together, it becomes easier. Yeah.
Great. This is very important, and this four-part formula will be available in download on LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn, under the Marketing4Waste. If you digit Marketing4Waste on LinkedIn, it will be available on a PDF. And there is a point that Nelson touched, and that is the base of everything, of your voice, is the knowledge, the complete knowledge of your buyer personas, your target audience. And that's one of the most important points, because it helps you defining your voice. Yeah. Because if you are able to identify the buyer personas, you are able also to create the right tone of voice, because you can be funny, you can be serious, you can use a technical language, you can use a simple language, you can use maybe a different language, because in function of your target, if you, as an example, if you need to collect waste in an area where there are Hispanics, probably it's better to use the Spanish language than the English language. That's a simple example. And or in other terms, maybe if you use a technical approach, using technical terms with an audience that doesn't understand the technical terms, probably you'll be some troubles to attract the right target. And probably they prefer to go to another waste management service that use a simple language that is easily understandable. For that reason, it's very important, first of all, to analyze the right target audience that you have, and also after that you can apply the 4 steps formula that Nelson introduced here, and that will be available on LinkedIn under Marketing4Waste. You need only to digit on the research area at Marketing4Waste, and you'll find the company, and where there will be the complete file with the explanation of the steps that you need to do to use the four steps formula. And that's very interesting, Nelson, and thanks a lot for sharing that, because I think that we are now touching a point that usually no one touched during a podcast, because what I saw talking about social media management is that a lot of people, as I earlier said, a lot of people talk about marketing in social media only thinking to share contents, and not about the creation of contents. The creation of contents is something that is difficult to do, because you need to do a lot of research before the creation of the content. You need to do a lot of research before, because you need to understand the target audience interests, and at the same time it requires a lot of time. For that reason, the real process of social media management should be introduced in a marketing process of the companies, especially in waste management, because nowadays companies in waste management are involved in a great responsibility process, because due to the fact that there will be the closure of the landfills, there will be the creation of new circularity processes to achieve the new goals, the new international goals in terms of recyclability, in terms of reuse, in terms of whatever is connected with the environment. It's very important that your company should attract a large part of wastes, because only with that approach you'll be able to support the waste problem resolution, and will be able also to create a profitable business in terms of waste management, because your role will change from the sample waste collection to the waste collection and sales of secondary raw materials, because that will be the next level of waste management. I know that now probably is something that is not so diffuse at the moment, but that will be the new level of waste management. And you should use this transition period to start to create this new positioning for your company. And to do that, social media are a great ally for that. And using what Nelson said, you'll be not only able to obtain and to move forward your company, but you're also able to change the approach and to start and to analyze the citizens in the area, the companies that are already involved as a clients, and whatever you have as the base of your business, because that will drive you through a new challenge, but at the same time you'll create the new structure for your company. And that's one of the most important points. And Nelson, let me ask you one thing.
Okay.
I don't know if you have some examples of tone of voice that you want to share, or there is something that you want to add to what we said, because I think that the argument is a very interesting argument, and at the same time need hundreds of episodes to talk about, and that's very important. And we'll go ahead on that, because during the next episode in 1 month, that will be on the 6th of August, we'll be able to share this another small step of how to use social media. And please tell me if there is something that you want to add.
Okay, thank you about that. I think what I can add at this point, given that we'll have a follow-up to this podcast, at this point, maybe just to talk about maybe the 4-part formula, just to simplify it and make it easier for people to understand. So just to give a few examples, or just to narrow it down,
yeah.
I'd say, once you've understood what your social media brand voice is all about, based on the 4-part series, that is your character and your persona. Your character or persona should basically talk about your brand. What does your brand sound like? Let's say if your brand was a person, if your brand is Samuel Barilli, what do you sound like when people talk about you? That's your character. That's your persona. This is what you need to take from let's say, from who you are, from what your brand is all about, what it sounds like, and put it on social media. Then on the tone part of it, it's like, just to simplify it, is talking about your vibe. What is your vibe? What is your vibe, you know? So if you're able to understand what your vibe is all about, if you're more like a positive, motivated brand, you like to motivate people to follow a particular direction, that should be your vibe. So you should put it out there. And your language, you should be, I normally say, simple. If you can explain it to a 5-year-old, the 5-year-old is able to understand it. I believe just use a language that is easy to follow, and try to understand your audience. If you're in waste management, what type of audience are you talking about? Samuel gave us an example of if you're in a Hispanic population, and your waste management company is in the Hispanic population, is targeting the Hispanic population. Try and use a language that the population is able to understand. This can be, maybe you talk about you talk in the local language that is Hispanic, and use simple language that anybody, even people who have not had the privilege to maybe go to a higher educational level, can be able to still follow what you're talking about. As much as you'd also want to appear that you're a professional in your field, but also try and use a language that it's easily followable. Anyone can follow and understand what you're talking about. And then the most important bit of all these, when you're defining your social media brand voice, is your purpose. What are you trying to achieve? With all these, with everything that you're trying to do, with all these content that you're putting out there, what is your purpose? If you're in waste management and your purpose is to grow your revenues in waste management, once you've been able to understand what your purpose is all about, then it's easier to put out content there. Right now, social media, various platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook are increasing the length of videos you can create, meaning people are consuming more of video content as compared to the other content. So like Samuel had said, maybe you can use that to explain your process, what your process is from the point when you collect waste to the point maybe you take it to a particular place and try to convert it from waste to something that is renewable or recyclable. So if you're able to use the video platform to just explain your process, and then people are able to relate, they're able to engage, they're able to ask you questions, and you can always respond to those questions. So these are the things that will guide your social media brand voice. So once you're able to understand what your purpose is, what you're trying to achieve, it becomes much easier to define your brand voice. Yeah. Great,
Nelson, and thanks a lot for this golden nuggets, because it's very important and to use the 4 steps formula that Nelson explained to us for the creation of the right contents and the right use of social media. Let me add only these points, because we'll develop a totally dedicated episode, because there is an important point. You should use the social media platform where there is your target audience. That's one of the points that we'll develop in one of the next episodes of Marketing4Waste podcast. But for now, I want to tell you that you'll find the 4 steps formula on LinkedIn under Marketing4Waste. You have to digit at Marketing4Waste on the research box on LinkedIn, and you arrive on the page of Marketing4Waste, and here you'll find the PDF file where there is the Marketing4Waste 4 steps formula for the creation of marketing contents. Marketing4Waste podcast today finish here. Thanks a lot to Nelson Kamanda. Thanks a lot to Nelson. And
thank you.
My pleasure. And we'll talk soon about social media again with Nelson. And but we'll talk about marketing for waste management companies in the next episode of Marketing4Waste. Talk soon. Thank you and enjoy.
Thank you. Enjoy too.